This is the summary of the third part of the Sonic movie series. You can find links to the previous parts in the description below the video. Without further delay, let's continue. The last thing we saw was Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails teaming up to defeat Robotnik, with Sonic obtaining the power of the Chaos Emerald and defeating him. After that, Robotnik disappeared, and no one knew whether he survived or died. On the other hand, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles became a team. Now, we move to Japan, specifically to an institution called Jan, where Shadow the Hedgehog is held captive. Shadow has been imprisoned this way for 50 years, with his subconscious mind recalling some memories from the past. At the same time, the institution's security system is breached, leading to Shadow's liberation. The guards prepare to face him, but Shadow breaks his containment capsule and uses his superhuman strength to eliminate all the guards at incredible speed. He escapes from the Jan institution and heads to Tokyo. Meanwhile, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are preparing for a friendly race. Sonic jokes with them, saying, "You're definitely going to lose. I'm the fastest being in the galaxy." Tom and Maddie are organizing the race. At the start of the race, Sonic is confident that he's ahead, but he's surprised when Tails and Knuckles pass him. He feels confused and increases his speed to reach the finish line, only to be amazed when he sees that Tails and Knuckles have already finished ahead of him. When he asks why, he finds out that what he saw was just holographic figures. He rushes to the camp to find out what's going on, and there he discovers that his friends prepared a party to celebrate his 3 years on Earth. Sonic realizes that the race was just a way to bring him to the party. Tails and Knuckles thank him, saying, "You deserve this honor. Without you, we wouldn't be here." Tom and Maddie add, "Since you've arrived, you've completely changed our lives." Sonic feels happy and celebrates with them. While walking with Tom, Sonic stumbles upon the old cave he used to live in. Tom notices a drawing Sonic made of the owl Long, and Sonic tells him, "I drew this picture on my first day on Earth to remember where I came from, and I hope Long would be proud of me." Tom reassures him, saying, "She will definitely be proud of you, because you have a kind heart and always follow your feelings, which helps you make the right decisions." Sonic smiles and says, "If it weren't for you, I'd be a completely different person." As Shadow wandered through the streets of Japan, he reflected on his surroundings, acting as though it were 2024, fully aware that he had spent 50 years in captivity. At that moment, the forces from the Jan institution began to gather around him, trying to capture him. Shadow felt anger rise within him and decided to attack. Meanwhile, Sonic and his team were enjoying some quiet moments. Suddenly, a helicopter arrived, and a woman named Rockwell descended from it. She informed them of a great danger in Tokyo and that the Army Commander Waters had requested Sonic's team to confront this threat. Sonic decided to take responsibility and offer help. The team boarded the helicopter with Rockwell, and they quickly passed through a time portal, reaching Tokyo in seconds. Upon arrival, Sonic encouraged his team, saying, "We don't know who we'll face, but as long as we're together, no one can defeat us." The three of them jumped from the helicopter and landed safely. When they arrived, they found the place completely destroyed. Suddenly, a car rushed toward them, but Knuckles saved them at the last moment. Then, Shadow appeared. Sonic was surprised and asked, "Why do you look like me?" Shadow coldly responded, "I don't resemble anyone. Don't waste my time. Get out of my way." Sonic tried to calm things down, saying, "Come on, let's talk and figure out what's bothering you." But Shadow angrily replied, "I won't talk to anyone." He turned to leave, but Knuckles wanted to fight. Knuckles ran towards Shadow, but Shadow appeared in front of him suddenly and hit him several times in midair before throwing him away. Sonic and Tails tried to intervene to face Shadow, but Shadow caught them off guard and appeared behind them, striking both of them simultaneously. Afterward, Shadow mounted a motorcycle and warned Sonic not to follow him. But Sonic didn't listen and started chasing him. Shadow tried to attack him by shooting and hitting him with the motorcycle, but Sonic evaded the attacks and grabbed the motorcycle to continue the pursuit. Later, the two engaged in fierce clashes that led them to the top of one of the buildings. Shadow managed to shake Sonic off and flew into the air. They clashed again, but the force of the impact was too much for Sonic, causing him to lose consciousness for a moment. His friends came to him and said, "You shouldn't have faced him alone. We're a team, and we need to work together." Sonic apologized and replied, "I just haven't gotten used to it yet. Now we need to get answers to a lot of our questions." The team then heads to meet Commander Waters. Sonic asks him, "Who was that person we fought?" Waters responds, "Shadow's story is similar to yours. You found family and friends on Earth, while Shadow found pain and lost his loved ones. 50 years ago, a meteorite fell to Earth, and Shadow was inside it. Scientists took Shadow for study and discovered that his power was immense, but it also led to the destruction of the laboratory, killing dozens of people. The Jan institution considered the lab director responsible, so they arrested him. As for Shadow, they were confused. They couldn't let him go free because he might pose a threat, but they also couldn't destroy him because he had immense value, so they decided to imprison him in a capsule. Sonic says, "So, someone must have helped Shadow escape the capsule." Waters responds, "That's right, but very few people know about Shadow's existence." Suddenly, without warning, Robotnik's drone planes appear. Everyone becomes alert and wonders where these planes are coming from, especially since Robotnik is supposed to be dead. Then a mysterious figure appears riding a motorcycle and disables all the drones without revealing his identity before leaving the scene. Sonic and his friends rescue Commander Waters, who is in very bad condition. Before his death, Waters gives Sonic a special key to a powerful weapon and says, "You're the only one I can trust to protect this key. Don't give it to anyone." After that, Waters passes away. Rockwell arrives moments later, but she finds that Sonic and his team have already left. While examining Waters' body, she suspects that Sonic has the key. Tails asks Sonic, "Why do we run from Rockwell?" He replies, "We can't trust anyone now." The team follows the mysterious person who is riding the motorcycle. When he stops, he reveals his identity, and it turns out to be Stone, Robotnik's assistant. The team suspects that he was the one who freed Shadow, but Stone denies it, saying, "Neither I nor Dr. Robotnik did that." We then move to Robotnik, who now leads a lazy life, eating and watching television while the drone planes fulfill all his needs. He has become very overweight, but he regains his focus when he sees Sonic and his friends in front of him. Stone angrily asks, "Why did you bring my enemies here?" The three are surprised to see that Robotnik is still alive. Stone explains the situation to Robotnik, saying, "There's someone imitating you and using your own robots." Stone shows Robotnik a video of this person, and Robotnik becomes enraged, deciding to find him and seek revenge. Tails says to Sonic, "I'm sorry, but we have to work with Robotnik to find Shadow." Sonic objects, but Knuckles agrees. In the end, Sonic decides to listen to them because they are one team. Robotnik agrees to the alliance, but he sets a condition. He wants a lock of Sonic's hair. Sonic gives him the lock, and then Stone shaves Robotnik's hair to restore his usual appearance. As Shadow wandered through the destroyed laboratory, he found a shoe belonging to a girl named Maria. Maria was the granddaughter of the professor in charge of Shadow's research, and she was a very kind girl whom Shadow loved and became one of his closest friends. Maria used to visit the laboratory regularly and would take Shadow outside to spend time together. They could never stay apart. One day, they were talking about the stars in the sky. Maria said, "My grandfather used to tell me that the stars and planets are light years away from Earth." Then she asked him, "And you, what planet are you from?" Shadow replied, "I don't know anything about my home." Maria smiled and said, "Consider yourself at home here. This is your country." But Shadow hesitated and said, "I feel like I'm a dangerous person. I realize that from the way the scientists look at me. I don't even know what I really am." Maria smiled confidently and said, "You're my friend. You can be whoever you choose to be. You are the only one who decides who you are, starting from your heart." Shadow was moved by her words, thanked her, and gently held her hands. In the present, an elderly man suddenly appears in front of Shadow. It's the professor who had been overseeing Shadow's study 50 years ago and was arrested after the laboratory incident. Shadow angrily said to him, "I can't forget the pain I suffered because of the people who imprisoned me." The professor replied, "I came to help you punish them." Minutes later, Robotnik takes Sonic and the others to the laboratory where Shadow and the professor are. Robotnik says to them, "We need to split up and search the area for anything that might be useful." Sonic didn't trust Robotnik and insisted on searching with him, while the others spread out to search the place. Shadow suddenly appears and starts attacking the team, while Sonic finds some of Shadow's personal belongings, including a picture of him with Maria, which makes him realize that this place was Shadow's home. Suddenly, Shadow appears and attacks Sonic. As for Robotnik, he discovered the stored drones in the area. The professor, who had been overseeing Shadow's research, reveals that he is the one who stole Robotnik's drones. The professor says, "I took control of the drones and used them to lure you here to reunite our family. Then, to everyone's surprise, he says, "I am your grandfather, Gerald." Robotnik is stunned by this revelation. Gerald says, "You belong to an intelligent lineage that began with me." But Robotnik, wanting to confirm this claim, asks him questions in mathematics and geography. Gerald answers them all. He also exhibits the same strange behaviors that Robotnik is known for, further confirming their connection. In a touching moment, Robotnik realizes that Gerald is truly his grandfather. He rejoices and embraces him happily. Robotnik asks his grandfather Gerald, "Where have you been all these years?" Gerald replies, "I've been imprisoned in a secret prison for 50 years. Come with me, and I'll show you why I brought you here." Gerald takes him to a room where Sonic and his friends are bound. Sonic is shocked when he sees two versions of Robotnik in front of him, quickly realizing that Gerald is Robotnik's grandfather and that he is the one who freed Shadow and launched the attack on Waters. Shadow takes the key that Waters entrusted to Sonic. Gerald and Shadow reveal their intention to take revenge on the Jinn organization, which was responsible for imprisoning them for decades. Gerald explains that he created the most powerful weapon ever known to mankind for the Jinn organization in exchange for a promise to release him from prison. This weapon is a powerful cannon capable of destroying any place on Earth with a single strike. Gerald says, "Our goal is to destroy the Jinn organization." Sonic tries to convince Gerald to abandon his plan, saying, "A weapon with such power will endanger the lives of millions." But Gerald is uninterested in Sonic's words. Gerald tells his grandson Robotnik about a second key required to activate the cannon, and that it is located within the headquarters of the Jinn organization. At this moment, Robotnik returns to the path of evil and agrees to help his grandfather. Sonic tries to talk to Shadow, urging him to reconsider, saying, "You're good inside, don't do this." But Shadow refuses, determined to take revenge on those who imprison them. Before leaving, Shadow throws a small device that creates a black hole, pulling everything towards it. Knuckles manages to hang on to a wire using his teeth, while Sonic grabs a ring from Tails and opens a portal to another place to save his team. Robotnik and his grandfather think that they are dead. Robotnik says to his grandfather, "I tried many times to kill them and failed, but you ended it easily. You're amazing." Gerald smiles and says, "No one can stand in our way now." Gerald and Robotnik spend some family time together to make up for lost years. Meanwhile, Tom and Maddie are enjoying a quiet time at home when Sonic and his friends suddenly appear. Sonic says to them, "We need your help on a dangerous mission." Tom and Maddie agree to join them. Tails suggests targeting the Jinn organization headquarters in London, which is protected by an energy shield that burns anything trying to breach it. Tails explains his plan. "We need to insert a specific flash drive into the control room, so I can take control of the system and disable the energy shield. Tom and Maddie will be in charge of getting the flash drive to the control room. Then Sonic will use his speed to avoid the laser lines." As for the second key, there is no information about the kind of security protecting it. Maddie suggests that Sonic use the Chaos Emerald to easily obtain the key, but Sonic rejects the idea due to the great risk involved in using the Chaos Emerald. Sonic reveals that his team hid the emerald in a secret location known only to Knuckles. Thus, the team decides to head to London to execute Tails' plan. The villains arrive at the Jinn organization headquarters in London. Shadow wants to storm the place to take the key and eliminate anyone who stands in his way, but Gerald calms him down, saying, "It's not your turn yet." Gerald and Robotnik move ahead to execute their plan, while Tom and Maddie arrive with Sonic and his team. Sonic tells Knuckles that his turn will come later to break a specific glass in case of an emergency. Tom and Maddie use tech devices to change their appearance, making them look like two individuals named Rich and Rand. With this trick, they manage to enter the company headquarters and bypass the security guards. Later, Maddie transforms to match the face print of one of the employees, allowing them to pass through a facial recognition system and enter the control room. There, they attempt to insert the flash drive to execute Tails' plan, but they are surprised to find that someone else has already inserted a flash drive. Tails scans the building to assess the situation and discovers that Robotnik and Gerald have reached the basement. The two manage to cross the laser lines using special laser-resistant suits. When Tails informs Sonic of the situation, Sonic doesn't wait and immediately jumps into action. Tails tries to stop him, warning that the energy shield might be reactivated, but Sonic insists on taking the risk to stop Robotnik and Gerald. Sonic jumps, attempting to pass through the shield, But things are about to go wrong when Tails quickly intervenes and throws him inside at the last moment. Sonic reaches the basement, where he faces Robotnik and Gerald, who are about to obtain the key, but suddenly a strange paralysis occurs, preventing everyone from moving. It turns out the room is equipped with a variable gravity system. The red area pulls towards the ground, while the green area pushes upwards. Rocco, Will, and her team enter, and Sonic tries to ask for their help, but she says, "I won't let you steal the key either." Rocco's men arrest Tom, Maddie, and Tails. Sonic orders Knuckles to carry out his role and break the glass, and Knuckles indeed smashes the ceiling. However, Knuckles makes a mistake using the control device for the basement and activates the gravity system instead of disabling it. Everyone either starts flying upwards or sticking to the ground, and the situation worsens when pieces of the broken ceiling begin to fall on them. The key falls to the ground between Robotnik and Rocco, and both start crawling towards it, while the ceiling is about to collapse on Sonic's friends. Sonic reacts quickly, using his speed to destroy the rocks and save his friends, but accidentally destroys the gravity control device. The situation returns to normal, and everyone can move freely. At that moment, Rocco will succeed in obtaining the key and leaves. However, Sonic has a clever idea. He appears before Rocco in the form of Commander Waters using a shape-shifting device and asks her to give him the key. Rocco is deceived and hands over the key before realizing what happened. Before everyone leaves, Shadow suddenly appears. He believes that Commander Waters, whom Sonic is disguised as, is responsible for imprisoning him for 50 years, and he attacks him with all his strength, taking the key. Sonic arrives at the scene and sees Tom unconscious. Shadow is affected when he sees Sonic trying to wake Tom, as it reminds him of his failed attempt to wake Maria when she died. Sonic angrily says to him, "What have you done?" Shadow replies, "I did what I had to do." He then heads to help Robotnik and Gerald eliminate the guards. With that, Gerald and Robotnik gather the 2 keys they need and head to Gerald's giant cannon. Meanwhile, Stone calls Robotnik, trying to warn him about Gerald, describing him as a dangerous person with questionable intentions. But Robotnik rejects Stone's warning and continues with his plan alongside his grandfather. After placing the keys in their designated spots, the giant cannon emerges from beneath the water. An ambulance arrives to transport Tom, whose condition is critical. Sonic becomes furious over what happened and decides to seek revenge on Shadow at any cost. He asks Knuckles to tell him where the Chaos Emerald is, but Knuckles and Tails try to warn him of the dangers of using its power. Sonic refuses their warning, insisting that this is the only solution, even going so far as to threaten Knuckles. After a long argument, Knuckles tells him the location of the emerald, which is in the possession of Officer Wade. Officer Wade has been treating the emerald like a hockey puck, and Sonic goes to him and takes the emerald. When Sonic obtains the power of the emerald, his thoughts begin to turn into reality, and he soars into the air surrounded by immense energy. The whole world feels the danger as they realize that Robotnik and Gerald have gained control of a powerful cannon capable of destroying cities in mere seconds. Gerald says to Shadow, "It's time for revenge." But Shadow begins to hesitate and asks him, "Do you think Maria would approve of this?" Gerald angrily replies, "That's not the right question. These people deserve what's going to happen to them. Don't forget they took Maria from us." Shadow remembers what happened in the past. When he and Maria were escaping from the guards, one of them shot at an energy capsule, causing a huge explosion that killed dozens of scientists, including Maria. Both Shadow and Gerald were deeply shocked, and they were captured afterward. After recalling these painful memories, Shadow is convinced by Gerald's words and begins to run around the cannon to power it up. Robotnik anxiously asks his grandfather, "What's happening exactly?" Gerald responds, "With Shadow's power, we can turn the Earth into ashes." Robotnik is shocked and completely rejects the idea, saying, "We can use our intelligence together to rule the world instead." But Gerald angrily responds, "Humanity is a failed experiment, and you know this better than anyone. Your whole life, you've been an outcast and no one cared about you." Robotnik replies, "But you're here, and I consider you my family." Gerald coldly responds, "When I lost my granddaughter, my family ended forever. Because of what happened to her, I will destroy the world to achieve justice." Robotnik is deeply affected by Gerald's words and realizes that Stone's warning was correct. As Gerald prepares to launch the cannon, he announces that the missile will be fired at Earth in only 10 minutes. Sonic reaches the spacecraft, and takes Shadow with him into space. He says, "It all ends now." Then the two fall back to Earth. Shadow delivers a powerful blow to Sonic, causing the Chaos Emeralds to scatter. Both rush toward the emeralds, each collecting 3, granting them immense power. The battle between them resumes, shifting rapidly across various locations on Earth. Meanwhile, Robotnik faces his grandfather Gerald and tries to sabotage his plan. But Gerald responds with a powerful punch using his mechanical arm. As Sonic and Shadow continue their fight, it becomes clear that Shadow initially has the upper hand. He taunts Sonic by mentioning Tom. Sonic becomes enraged and gathers all his strength to land a powerful blow on Shadow, sending him flying all the way to the moon. Shadow's power gradually fades, and Sonic becomes stronger. Sonic could defeat him, but he recalls Tom's words, "You have a good heart." Sonic refrains from killing Shadow and says, "I'm not the one who does that." Shadow is shocked and asks, "Why didn't you finish it? You were the victor." Sonic replies, "No one wins through revenge." Shadow looks up at the stars, reflecting, "The last time I saw the stars was with Maria. Since she died, I felt an immense pain." Sonic responds, "I too felt great pain when I lost Long. But I learned something important. There's something more significant than pain, and that's the love we have for each other. Maria is gone, but your love for her is still alive." Shadow is moved by Sonic's words and says, "Everything happening now is because of my anger. I thought there was no other choice." Sonic extends his hand and says, "There's always another choice, and the right decision is often the hardest. Come on, let's unite and fix what we've broken." The two shake hands and use the power of the emeralds together. Meanwhile, Gerald is busy facing Robotnik. He uses his weapons to destroy the control device, making it impossible to stop the missile. In a climactic moment, Robotnik fires his weapons and destroys half of Gerald's mechanical body. Enraged, Gerald steps aside, but he realizes that Shadow has turned against him. Gerald deploys robots to fight them, but Sonic and Shadow face them bravely, competing to destroy the robots. Robotnik tries to convince his grandfather to retreat, but Gerald responds, "You're too late." Gerald opens a hatch in the spacecraft and throws Robotnik into space. However, Tails and Knuckles appear at the last moment and save him. Robotnik then electrifies Gerald, sending him falling into the energy reactor, where he meets his end. The only remaining problem is the missile heading toward Earth. Sonic and Shadow stand facing the cannon shell, using their powers to prevent it from hitting the planet. However, they're unable to hold out for long. Robotnik and Tails try to divert the missile away from Earth. In the crucial moment, Sonic and Shadow lose their strength, but they manage to redirect the missile, causing it to crash into the moon instead of Earth, causing significant destruction there. Sonic loses consciousness and is thrown into space. Knuckles pushes Tails toward him to save him, but she too loses consciousness due to the excess air pressure. Knuckles jumps after them and opens a gate leading to the farm, where the three land safely. Meanwhile, Robotnik informs Shadow that the core of the spacecraft is filled with immense energy and will soon explode, causing a powerful radiation that will destroy Earth and wipe out humanity. Shadow decides to do the right thing this time and asks Robotnik to give him enough time to move the spacecraft away from Earth. Robotnik appears in a live broadcast with Stone and tells him, "If I can't rule the world, it's better I save it. You're already my friend." Both Shadow and Robotnik sacrifice their lives to save Earth. Tails is surprised by Robotnik's self-sacrifice, while Sonic feels sorry for Tails and Knuckles, as he fought alone without their help. However, he apologizes to them, and they forgive him, with the three friends embracing each other. Things return to normal. Tom recovers, and they all return to the forest where they camp. Sonic tells his friends, "There's still one mission left undone, and that's the race we started but didn't finish." The three of them race together once more. During the race, Sonic finds himself in another state where a strange robot approaches him, trying to attack. Sonic manages to dodge the attack and responds with a powerful blow that sends the robot flying away. But it's not significantly affected. Suddenly, a large number of robots appear, surrounding Sonic and trying to attack him. But suddenly, a mysterious figure appears and destroys all the robots. The person reveals their identity, and it turns out to be a new enemy. And thus, the trilogy concludes. If you love movies and movie recaps, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more. Hit like if you enjoyed the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.